We'll get started right now. And so, a couple of instructions that will help us to have the best experience here. We can hear some scooching around. So if your phone is near your desk and you're moving things around, we hear the paper shuffling, book shuffling, things like that. So make sure that you don't have anything where you're making noise. Your microphone picks it up real sensitive. If we keep hearing it a lot, I'll just ask everybody to go for it. And then we're also picking up somebody that has some background as well. Sounds like somebody is currently moving or something. If you cannot get your camera working, I can see that you're on there. We apologize if it doesn't work. Sometimes it's an issue with your individual computer. We're not sure how to solve that one. So, guys, let me do one more roll call, and then we will get started. If I do not call your name, let me know. I've got John Hickman, I've got Josh Lilly, Steve, Bo, Chase, Blake, Jamie, Chris, Gigi, Tim Trader, Randy, Rob, Jim, and Frank Bennett. Is there anybody that I did not call their name?
Ashley Austin.
All right, Ashley.
Also, we got Jason Quinn.
Oh, you got Jason on here?
Yeah, man.
All right, Jason. Got him in. Good deal. All right, guys.
My wife's on her own webcam.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, guys, we're going to get rolling and get started. I want to welcome you to the Launch Network training. Am I on there? I don't see me.
No, I lost you. We did that on purpose.
There we go. I'm in the top left now, or at least for me, I am. All right. Well, hey, I want to welcome everybody. We're so excited to finally get started. I know some of you guys, it's been like 5 months. It's 5 months ago that you assessed. Some of you 3 months ago. Some of you 3 weeks ago that you assessed. And now it's time to get rolling. We are extremely excited about getting started on this journey with you. If I could go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and ask you. I'm going to have you share some things in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and ask you. Can I have you put it on mute so that we're not picking up background noise, because we're still picking up a lot of background noise. Okay. So, guys, the objective of today's session, we're going to be together about an hour, maybe a little bit less, but probably an hour. And the objectives today, number one, is to get to know each other. Second objective, get familiar with the launch training philosophy. Third objective is to talk to the wives about some of their upcoming training information. And then we're going to overview the student manual. And then our fifth objective is going to give you some base camp training, and I'll explain what that is in just a little bit. And then we're going to talk about some next steps. We've got something new that we're going to be implementing this semester. And so I need to share that with you a little bit, because we'll be talking about next step as well. So if I could get everybody to mute, because I'm still getting a little bit of feedback and background noise from somebody scooching around. So if you could go ahead and mute, that would be helpful to us. So, hey, we're excited to get started on this journey, and I want to start us out with a word of prayer, okay? Lord, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity to be together with this group today. I thank you for the journey they're on. I thank you for how you have just absolutely captured their heart and their passion, and how you are driving them to reach the lost. God, it's so exciting to watch these couples as they go all across this country, starting new churches, reaching the lost with the gospel. And so, God, as we begin this journey together, God, we just pray that you would anoint our time together. I pray that you would anoint these men and these women as they go on this journey. I pray, God, these next 6 months of training, that you would absolutely shape us and challenge us and change us and grow us to be better leaders, to execute the vision that you put in our hearts. We know that's from you. And so, God, we just thank you for what you're going to do through each one of these individuals. God, we commit this orientation time to you as we cover a lot of detailed things. Father, I just pray that you would help us to communicate this as effectively as we can, and we commit this time to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, you guys, I want to. Somebody else chimed in. Who else chimed in just a second ago? I lost internet connection and just came back in, but I'm here. Still. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Jason, are you up there? Because I saw you on real early, but I don't see you now.
Yeah, Lloyd.
Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, not Jason. I'm sorry. The other Jason.
Gotcha.
All right. That's okay. All right, guys. Here's what I want to do. To help us get to know each other today, we're going to play a little game. And you'll notice in the top right-hand corner, right sort of in the center at the top of your screen, there's a little man holding his hand up like this. Now, when I ask a question, you have to raise your hand. So I want everybody to practice raising your hand. So raise your hand right now. Okay, very good. Chris, wrong. Okay, that's good. You see how to do that. All right, very good. All right, now, no more. Let me see if I can clear these. Unraise your hand for me. Can you do that? All right. Now, equipping facilitators, if you're on here, you cannot participate in the game. All right, this is just for our planters. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to be asking some questions that's going to help you get to know this particular group. And we have prizes if you get the answer right. All right, so here are the prizes. You get to choose what the prize is. You get to choose from a $15 Target gift card, a $15 Starbucks card. Oh, and I forgot to mention, guys, these prizes are not for you, Germex. You're not playing for yourself. You're playing for your wife. Okay. Now, Rob, you get to win this for yourself. All right. Now, stop raising your hand. Turn your hands down, please. And so it's a $15 Target card, $15 Starbucks card, $15 Amazon card, or a $15 Victoria's Secret card. All right? So this is what you're playing for, and you get to choose if you win the prize. All right? So now, here's what we're going to do. There are 23 church planters entering into the launch training this semester. 23 different church planters. Raise your hand. If whoever gets it right first gets the prize, or whoever gets the closest. So how many out of the 23 do you think are over 40 years old? Out of the 23, all right, Jason, I see your hand first. Jason Queen, how many?
Actually, I didn't raise my hand. Must be the other Jason.
Oh, must be the other Jason. All right, go here and Chase. You're next.
I believe the answer is 4, Mac.
Okay, very, very close. Tim, Tim Trier. How many? I think it's 6. All right, Frank Bennett. How many?
5.
All right, Frank Bennett, you are the winner. It is 5. All right, Frank, do you want a Target, Starbucks, Amazon, or Victoria's Secret card?
Or the German.
Or the German. What do you want?
You want Target? Okay, I better go with Sergeant. We got 6 kids.
All right.
I don't need the Victoria's Secrets. We had 6 kids.
That's right. Okay, so the next question, out of 23, raise your hand if you think you know the answer. Out of the 23, how many do you think are in their 20s? All right, Chris. 14. How many? 14. 14, okay. All right, Stevie.
9.
Okay, very, very close, but not quite. 937 James.
11. Jim.
11. Okay. Randy Wilson.
About 8.
Oh, so close. John Hickman.
10.
You got it. John Hickman is the winner. And John, what type of gift card would you like? Raise your hand.
Victoria's Secret, baby.
Victoria's Secret. All right. Next question. Who is the youngest church planter out of this group? Who is the youngest? All right, let's see. I've lost where the hands are. Bob says not me. Okay, so Josh Lilly, what do you say?
I'm going to go with myself.
Yourself. All right, you're very close, but not quite. Nick.
Bo.
Bo? No. All right. One more guess. Randy.
About Blake.
No. Okay, I'm gonna give this to Jason Queen. Who do you think is the youngest? I'll give you a hint. They're in San Diego.
Is there anybody else on here from San Diego?
There should be, but they're not.
I don't know that. I was going to say me, but shoot, I don't know. Maybe Josh.
All right, it is Ricky Garza, who is 25, and who else is 25? Chris Fowler, right? Or is it Josh?
I am, as well.
Okay, all right. So Ricky is the youngest. All right, we're going to do the next one is what percentage were saved as a child? What percentage were saved as a child? So who has a guess at the percentage? Randy Wilson.
About 85.
Okay, nope. What percentage were saved as a child? Tim Trier.
60%.
No, Chase.
I'm going with 20.
No, Jamie.
I'll say 40.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you because it's 42% were saved as a child. And so, Jamie got that one. Jamie, what would you like? What kind of card would you like?
You know, somebody else said something that wasn't me.
Oh,
It was Jim.
Who said
Or was it?
40%?
It was Jim.
Oh, Jim.
It was me. Yeah. Yep.
All right, so Jim, what kind of gift card would you like?
How about we do the Amazon?
Amazon. All right. 42% of you guys were saved as a child, 38% were saved as a teenager, and 23% saved as an adult. Next question. Which seminary is most represented out of the 23 guys? Raise your hand. When it says guest, I don't know who you are. So guest 4.
New Orleans.
Okay, New Orleans? No. Yes. Liberty.
Zeke.
Zeke, you got it right. Zeke, what type of gift? There are 9 guys represented from Liberty. What type of gift card, Zeke?
What's left?
Which one?
What's left? What's left?
Anything you want. Target, Starbucks, Amazon,
Oh,
Victoria.
Target. Target.
All right. And last question. How many states is this group planting in? There are 23 planters. How many states do you think we're planting in this semester? Out of you guys. All right, Chris Fowler.
13.
15. No. I've lost track of the names here. Randy Wilson.
About 13.
13. No. Chase.
16.
No. Guess number 2.
18.
No. Rob Gashler. Josh Lilly. What do you say, Josh?
I'm going to go with 20.
20? No. Frank Bennett, get another chance.
I'm going to say 19.
That's lower. Tim Trier.
How about 7?
Higher. Guess.
14.
Lower. Guess number 4.
12.
12. All right. Who said that?
Ashley Austin.
Ashley Austin. Ashley, would you like a Target, Starbucks, Amazon, or Victoria's Secret card?
Let's do Target.
Target. All right. Target wins with 3. Did I miss somebody? Oh, did you catch 4? Well, the answer was 4. It was 12. Oh, okay. Gotcha. So who was that?
That's me, Ashley Austin.
Ashley. Okay. All right, here, I'll give you this week. Yeah, and you guys, we're planting in Missouri, Illinois, Arizona, Oklahoma, Georgia, Oregon, Nevada, Hawaii, California, Florida, Utah, and Tennessee. 3 of those are in Arizona, 3 in California, and 3 in Tennessee. So it's really, really exciting to see what's taking place with what you guys are doing. All right. Hey, I'm going to turn this over to Cindy real quick. And to tell you, yes. Oh, is that you, Mark?
Yes, I'm here. I just wanted you to know. I can wait, but I want you to know I'm here.
Okay. No, Mark, I want to go ahead and have you share. So,
Okay.
You guys, you're not going to be able to see him, but Mark Tangle is on the phone with us. Mark just completed the launch training this semester, and was in our virtual training group. And I asked Mark to get on and just give a couple of minute testimony about the launch training, because when Mark got his training kit, which you just got this week, he had a specific reaction, and I wanted to share with you his reaction and then also share with you his experience. So this is one of our guys that just completed training and planting in Greenville, South Carolina. Mark, go ahead and just share a little bit about your experience.
Sure. Hey, guys, I hope y'all are doing well. When we got our training kit, I was overwhelmed because I'm not sure where y'all are in the journey. If you're in pre-launch, some of you guys have probably already launched like we had, and or you're just a couple months out, so you're doing tons of work there. And when we looked at it, man, it's a pretty daunting task, because it is as much work as you think it is when you first get the packet. And I'll be honest with you, I think it was pride and stupidity on my part, but I just thought to myself, man, we're already doing this thing. Why do I need this? And I honestly almost called Max on multiple occasions and said, dude, this is so much reading and so much time with our stuff, and we're trying to, Sunday keeps coming every week, and it just, we got to prepare messages, and we got to do all this other stuff. And I just thought, man, I'm a leader. I started the church. I can do this. And had I done what I almost did, and my wife did talk me off the ledge a couple times, it would have been the biggest mistake of my spiritual life to this point as far as ministry goes, because I can't begin. I wish in words I could describe how much I've changed over the last 6 months and how much this experience has helped us as a church, and more importantly, me as a leader. But I just want to encourage you guys, you're going to get frustrated. It is a lot of work. Talk to people, talk to the sending pastor, call Matt because he's incredible. He's an incredible resource. Do not give up because I'm telling you, you won't realize how much your church will change and how much it will help you be able to deal with situations that college and seminary doesn't teach you. Even the School of Hard Knocks, how being on the church staff doesn't help you. This is a journey that is unlike anything you'll ever do, and I'm telling you, there's not an amount of money I would trade for what we just went through. I feel like we're ready for the fall and what God's about to do in our church, and this is what I want y'all to know. I really believe God is about to do something crazy at 4 Points Church in Greer, South Carolina, but we weren't ready to go to the 250 and 500 mark were it not for this because our leadership wasn't in place. And had I failed, we would have always been a church of 125 and just floundered. I just really believe God used this in our lives to prepare us and enable us for what needed to take place in my life as the spiritual leader and in the lives of our staff that we took. Every single person we took through this in our leadership team. So just want to encourage y'all. Maybe none of y'all had the reaction that I did, but it is a lot of work. Please stay the course. Please keep working. It is such an awesome experience, and I just can't encourage you enough to just be encouraged because y'all are going to be phenomenal church leaders, and launch wouldn't have chosen you if you weren't. And I just want to encourage y'all, stay the course. You're going to do great. If you ever get discouraged, Matt can give you my cell phone number because I can encourage you through it because I've been there. So we're praying for you guys. We're excited y'all are part of the brotherhood, and I just appreciate the time, Matt.
And Mark, one last thing. Thank you so much for that. And I know Leah was a part of the ladies training. Yeah. I know you're off and doing some stuff today, and she's not there with you. What would you say to the ladies that are on here about the ladies?
Oh man, Leah looks forward to. And I'm glad you said that, Mike. Leah looked forward. She had to miss the last one, and she dreaded it. It's just such an encouragement because I don't think we as pastors quite understand what our pastors' wives go through. And Cindy and along with the other ladies that Cindy had on there were just such an encouragement. They were able to help so much. Leah looked forward to it. Leah was really upset at me because I had her doing something the last time. There was no way she could get there. She was mad at me the last time that she missed it. But it's such an encouragement. And Mike, you said this Thursday, and it reminded me, I dreaded the first couple because it just felt like extra work. And I was kind of depressed on Thursday because it was our last one because I looked forward to just growing and all that stuff. So it's a process. And Leah felt the same way. She's not quite as bad as I am, so she never was discouraged by the process. But we gained so much, and I just encourage y'all for what you get out of this time, lady. Leah was so encouraged the whole time, and I just feed off of them because they give way too much of themselves, and we appreciate it so much from 4 Points and our family specifically. So definitely, you don't want to miss those times because Leah would talk for hours that night, every night. You won't believe what they said, what Amy said, and what Cindy said, and all this stuff. So y'all don't miss that because she absolutely loved it. So.
All right. Hey, Mark, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm sorry I couldn't be on the video.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thanks, man.
All right, guys. Good luck, man. I'm excited for y'all.
All right, I'm going to turn the other slide so I can get up here and Cindy's going to tell you a little bit about the latest training.
Okay, hey ladies, good to see you all. Love you. But husbands, those of you that your wives couldn't be here, I just encourage you to share this with them. Ladies, what we are going to provide through Launch is small groups. We just realized that we need to provide a safe place where we can gather once a month, where we meet 5 times, where we can just encourage each other and support each other. Lorna did a study that said one of the biggest obstacles for the church planting life was loneliness. And we just really looked at that and blew us away. And so we just thought, okay, we want to make sure we recognize that we do something that these women, you will not feel lonely, and that you have an incredible support group. And so we want to provide a place where you can establish relationships with other women going through the same season of life. And we just really want you to connect with other women although we'll only be meeting together in a small group forum once a month, we just want to encourage you to meet with other women, call each other up on the phone. Anyway, we want to provide a safe place where you can establish a relationship with other women and also provide encouragement and support. We'll be having two classes, or not two classes, but two small groups that you can choose from. One is going to be during the day, and one's going to be at night. You recognize that a lot of you women have to work, and so we're going to do that, have a night class now. We're going to go through this book, and I think all of you received it in the packet. This book, My Husband Wants to Be a Church Planter, so what does that mean? And I'll be sending you an email that will talk about, will lay it out to where what chapters we want you to read. So we're going to break the book down. We're going to have you read a couple chapters, and then when we get together for a small group time, we'll discuss those chapters and hopefully just provide some incredible support and encouragement for you. This book is awesome, extremely practical. And then the last, yeah, here it is. Yeah, thank you, Kim. But the last thing I want to share with you is be a part of this process with your husband as much as you can. Your husband is, of course, going to be doing all the hard work of learning and just growing. And so I just want to encourage you, husband, bring your wife beside you and experience this together. You are a team. And there's going to be a lot of growing, a lot of challenging things that you're going to have to work through. And so do it together as a team. And it'll help. You'll grow tremendously by walking beside your husband. You'll also be required to read together the book, It's Personal, by Amy and Brian Floyd. Another incredible practical book. So I just want to encourage you to make sure that when you read your chapter, to get together and discuss it. And make sure you're on the same page. So I'll be sending you an email that will lay out the date, and then you can choose if you want to be part of that small group, daytime group or the evening group. And I just look forward to meeting with you, and hope you have a great Saturday, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, Cindy. Okay, guys, I want you to take your training manual, and what I want to do over the next few minutes is I want to talk you through just a little bit about the training manual, so there's a few things that I want you to be able to understand. And so turn to page 7, and as you turn to page 7, I'm going to switch our screen view just so I can display what I'll be talking about. And I'm going to let you turn to page 7, and there you'll see the overview of the launch training. And there's one thing that I want you to really understand from this particular page. That page lists each of the 12 competencies you're going to be learning. We covered the first 2 at the assessment. And so we will pick up with the vision one, ask a clear and compelling vision. That will be your first session as you cover the competencies. What I want you to notice is out to the far right are the outcomes. What we've done is we've put these leadership competencies in sequential order. These are the outcomes that we will ask you to produce with each session. So, for example, in session 3, we want you to define your mission statement and your vision. It says vision description. That will be your vision frame. You'll be producing your vision frame at that point. There we go. Now I can share. Hold on one second. I'm going to pull this up for you. All right. There we go. So you guys, as you go through the training and you see each of these outcomes that you're producing, I want you to recognize that they are helping you build your launch plan. If you do each of these assignments in the order that we've given you, many of them are related to your church planting perspectives that we'll ask you to turn in at the end of the semester. So make sure you're doing each one of these, and we will be sending you a message next week that lets you know that 10 of these are what we call essential assignments, and I will explain that at the end of our time today and why those are important. But I just want you to see that if you follow this little process and you develop these outcomes, you're building your vision statement, your prayer team, your goals, your targets, you're doing your demographic study, you're building an evangelism strategy, fundraising strategy, your annual calendar, an organizational chart, ministry process map, your launch team schedule, build your job descriptions, your leadership team will be identified. You'll plan out your first quarter sermon series, your bylaws, your discipleship strategy, leadership development strategy, finish up your vision frame, and build your launch plan. And then at the end of session 12, we'll do a SWOT analysis of everything you've done and talk about your mentoring schedule. So all of that flows to help you build your launch plan and help you prepare for your launch. Now, the other thing I want to share with you is I really want you to understand the launch training philosophy. I mentioned this at our assessment, but I want to just sort of review this again. We believe in a highly interactive and experiential learning process. When I was trained at the church planter, as I've told you before, basically it was dumping a bunch of information, and it was difficult to learn anything. So we put together what we refer to as a transformational process. And in this transformational process, there are 4 steps underneath this transformational process. Step number 1, and you will not see this in your notebook. It's not in there, but it's undergirding everything we're doing. But step number 1 is we want you to explore something. This is where you're going to do your reading. It's where you do your interviews. It's when we're getting you to think about the particular competency you're learning that month. I apologize, we're not able to, I'm switching screen views and the computer's just slowed up, so we're sort of stuck for a second on this view. The second part is you will be experiencing that particular competency. In other words, you will see certain assignments where you'll have to put that into practice. So, for example, under cast a clear and compelling vision, we're going to ask you to cast vision 3 times and record how well you did, what you learned from that experience. Third step is evaluate. This is when you come into your training group. And in your training group, you will discuss everything that you've been learning through your reading, through your interviews, through your assignments. And then step number 4, to really learn something, you have to turn around and equip others. So we want to encourage you to take aspects of this training and use it with your launch team, with your key leaders. So many of our planters do this every semester. They take their team through a lot of the training that we take you through. And what that's going to do is it's just going to reinforce it deeper into your knowledge and into your skills. You will be trained this semester. We have 8 different locations where training is going to take place. There we go. Now we got you back. So all of you will be trained live except for 2 of you. Randy, you and Bobby Wood are going to be trained virtually, and the rest of you guys are going to be trained in one of our live hubs. Your equipping facilitator will let you know if that is monthly or if it's every other week. They get to choose, and they will be contacting you. If they haven't already, they'll be contacting you this week to establish the training schedule over the next 5-6 months, okay? So you can be expecting that this coming week. So the reason I wanted you to understand that training philosophy is you've got your training kit. Dive into session 3 immediately. Start doing your homework, your reading, your assignment now. If you wait till the day before, you will get nothing out of this training. Okay? It's all designed to start processing 30 days in advance of your session so that you're learning before you show up. When you show up, we're going to facilitate discussion. We're not going to lecture to you. And so it's very important that you've done your homework so that you can share what you've learned and apply it to your specific context. So just want you to make sure you're very aware of that. Now, this is a question we always have, so I want to clarify this. If your equipping facilitator is meeting with you once a month, that means you're preparing session 3 and session 4 for that once-a-month session. You'll do 2 sessions in one day. If you're meeting every other week, then you'll do 1 session every 2 weeks, and so it gives you 2 weeks to prepare. Okay? But just remember, sometimes there's a lot of reading, sometimes there's not. There's interviews you have to do, there's assignments you have to write, there's a lot of work. You cannot do it the day before. So get a jump on it immediately after each training session. Start working on the next one. Okay? Now, I want to go over the elements of each training session so that you'll get an understanding of what we're trying to do with it. Number 1, there's a devotional with each session. What we want you to do there is read that passage, meditate on it, and just allow God to speak to you about that particular competency. Every session, we open it up by talking for about 10 minutes about that particular passage and how it relates to that competency, and we pull key insights out of that. So make sure, and what we're looking for here is we're looking for what God spoke to your heart, not looking for an in-depth study on it. Just what did God say to your heart about that competency from that passage? Then you'll have your reading assignments. And each reading assignment, you will notice, for example, in session 3, there are a whole bunch of chapters you have to read, but there are only 3 focus chapters. Okay, so let me explain that. You have to do all of the reading that we give you, but when you come to the session, we're going to focus on those particular 1, 2, or 3 focus chapters that we've given you. So know what a focus chapter is. Be very familiar with it, because that's what our discussion revolves around. Because the focus chapters are geared towards the specific competency that we're talking about that day. I'm going to show you in just a few minutes how to get the most out of the focus chapter. All right? The next part of each assignment, or each session, are assignments. These are experiential assignments. They're going to have you write something, produce something, talk to somebody, go watch something, see a role model, something like that. It's putting something into practice. So this means you may have to schedule something. So make sure you're looking at these assignments way ahead of time. The fourth part of every session is your sending church assignment. Every month, we want you meeting with your sending church to talk through the 2 sessions that you're learning that semester. Next week, your sending church pastor will be sent a digital copy of our sending church guide workbook. It'll give him a conversation guide to have with you every single month. Make sure you're meeting with him. Now, in your monthly report, he is your mentor. Okay, so when it says, did you meet with your mentor, you're going to check yes or no. Okay, so that's who your mentor is, your sending church. And the sending church guide is what you're discussing with him every month. The next part of each session, there are interviews. Almost every session has an interview. We have a list of people that you can interview. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. And then something new that we've added this semester is the couples connection. The couples connection, we're asking you to read 2 chapters of Brian and Amy Bloy's book. It's personal. Read 2 chapters of that with your spouse and discuss it every month. That's 2 chapters a month. It's laid out for you. Read it and discuss that together. Okay? And then the training time is when we come together and we discuss what we've learned. So those are the elements of a session. Let me give you 4 things to get the most out of this training. 4 things to get the most out of this training. As I've already said, number 1, start immediately on your session. As soon as you finish one training session, start immediately studying for the next one. Second, be on time. Make sure you're on time for sessions. And then there are 10 sessions you will be doing if you're meeting every other week. There are 5 if you're meeting once a month. You are allowed to miss 2. I recommend that you don't miss any. The group I just finished leading, they had perfect attendance the entire time. So I recommend that you don't miss any, but you're allowed to miss 2. Now, here's why that's important. You say, well, that Lodge doesn't fund us, so why is that important? Because we recommend you for funding to our partner churches, okay? And if you have a below 8 attendance, then we will not recommend you for funding, okay? Does that make sense? So make sure you're there 8 out of 10 times. Third thing, to get the most out of this, put the competencies into practice. Make sure you're not just studying and getting in your head. Put them into practice. And then the fourth thing I want you to know is that a lot of what we're doing, a lot of what we're teaching you is built on Church Unique, the book Church Unique. We are adding a pre-session this time. Your equipping facilitator will let you know about this, but we're adding a pre-session this time in everywhere except San Diego. San Diego, I'm going to work that out with you in a very special way. We'll talk about that offline. But we will be scheduling an hour-and-a-half pre-session with you, and that'll be coming up. All right, now, look on page 12 of your manual. And you're going to see an article called How to Read a Book. How to Read a Book for Transformation, not just information. Here's what we want you to do. Every time you're reading, in every session you're going to be doing reading, when you get to the focus chapter, we want you to answer these 6 questions. And there's, in your notebook, there's an outline provided with these 6 questions. All right, number 1, what stood out to you the most? You don't actually have to write that down. When you read the chapter, we recommend that you highlight what stood out to you the most. Then, after you finish reading the chapter, you go back and you answer question number 2, what challenged your thinking the most? Write down 2 or 3 things, no more than 3, that challenged your thinking the most from that focus chapter. Question number 3, what did you question or disagree with? Write down 1 thing you disagreed with or 1 question that it raised for you, okay, that you want answered. Question number 4, what 3 to 5 action steps will I take as a result of reading this chapter? Write those down in your outline. Question 5, what areas did this reading reveal where I need to grow? Jot down 1 or 2 things. And what area of strength did the reading reinforce about my leadership? Write down 1 or 2 things. All right, here's why we're doing this. Years ago, I used to read 52 books every year. I would just crank through books, read. After a while, I realized I'm not retaining anything. It's not changing me. And that's what reading is intended to do. And guys, so many times we read through a chapter of a book and we go, oh, that was really good, and we just keep on going. And we don't process it to internalize it. These questions are designed to help you process and internalize the things you're learning from your focus chapters. By answering those questions, you're going to be prepared to discuss the focus chapters in our session. Now, we're going to have specific questions we're going to ask you in the training time, and we don't give you those questions, but we give you these 6 so that you will be prepared for the discussion when it comes time for the session. So that's how you read a book for transformation. All right? Okay, turn to page 26 in your manual. 26. This is your first session. And there is 1 change that did not get made, that's all. 1 change that did not get made in that, in the printing of this most recent chapter, or recent training book. So I need you to mark out the focus chapters, and you're going to replace your focus chapters in that session with Church Unique, chapter 9, 12, and 16. Chapter 9, 12, and 16 are the focus chapters for session 3. Okay, equipping facilitators, I'll let you guys know about that and while we're making that change. Okay? Now, guys, one last thing. We've got 10 minutes left, and there's two more things I want to cover with you. And I'm going to have to do a screen share, so hold on 1 second. And for some reason, I guess because we have so many people in here, my camera's going, everything's going slow. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Yes. Okay, great. All right, now, this coming week, probably on Monday or Tuesday, you're going to receive something called Base Camp. You're going to be enrolled in Base Camp. When you get to Base Camp, you're going to see something that looks like this. You're going to have a project, it's called a project, and it's called Launch Training Fall 2012. When you open it, this is what you're going to see. And I just want to do a quick training how to use this. It's very intuitive, so don't be intimidated by it. But you guys, this is the platform where we're going to have discussions, where you're going to upload assignments, and we'll be asking you certain questions, okay? Plus, you can get information, some important information from this website. When you click on it, it will take you to this area called Messages. I will be sending you a message the very first day you get into this, and I'll be sending you a message every single week on updates and things like that. It will also be the place where your training manual will tell you to upload something into a message. This is where you do that. Under the To-Dos tab, this is where you find your church plant interviews. Every time we're going to ask you, or many of the sessions, we ask you to interview an existing church planter. Here's a list of names. All you have to do is choose one, click their email them, and say, hey, I'm in the launch training, and I would like to interview you about whatever the subject is for that particular one. We provide the questions for you, and all you do is click on this guy just like this, and it removes him from the list. Now, what we want you to do is go over here in this little bubble, click on that, put your name in here, Mac Lake, and then add this comment. That way we know who is interviewing who. But make sure you remove it just by clicking on it. That way nobody else will be calling them. Sometimes you'll see like Mike Wade is on here twice. That's because he's agreed to do 2 interviews a month. Steve Davis is once, but he agreed to do 1 a month. And so you will see those listed there. You'll also see other down here. If you want to interview somebody other than the guys on this list, just click right here, put the planter's name in there, who you're interviewing, and then click on it, and we'll know who you're interviewing. All right? The next area is calendar. Click on calendar, and there's not a lot in here right now, but what you're going to see for now is your bonus sessions. And I'll just cover these with you real quick. On August 15th at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, and I just noticed it says a.m. It's actually, they're going to be 2 p.m. We will have Raul Rivera from Start Church talking to you about how to start legal and stay legal. They're the ones that provided that CD that's in your manual that you received that gives you every step on becoming legal, gives you sample forms and documents. Please utilize that. It's very, very good. Then on September 19th, bonus session is How to Market Your Church with Paul Loyland. This is an outstanding session. He talks about common mistakes we make. Third session is with Todd McMitchin, who is a well-experienced fundraiser, teaches churches all over the country how to raise money. That's on October 17th. Here's one you might want to miss. It's How to Build a Leadership Development Culture by Mac Lake on November 14th. And then Brian Bloy will be doing the final one, How to Lead Strong, on December 5th. So those are all right here in your calendar. Whiteboards, you don't have to worry about time. You don't have to worry about files. right here, we are going to be providing samples of all kinds of things. Now, there's only samples right here for your first session, but we will be uploading a whole bunch of examples for you to look at. But here's a couple of church planting prospectuses and some other things about mission statements. So these will be under the files. We'll notify you when we upload new things. So that's how you use Basecamp. All right, going back to the dashboard. Now that particular project is your launch training. That's where all your training is going to take. We'll communicate with you on your training through that. We're also going to provide for you a Basecamp for your church. Let me show you this really quick. This is called Sample Church. We'll add you in it, the name of your church, and any of your key leaders that you would like to be in this, you just give us their email address. We'll add them in. You can send messages to one another through this. And then what you'll see here is a complete not a complete, but a pretty thorough to-do list for your church plan. So it takes you through vision stage, strategy stage, team building stage, programming, launch stage, and post-launch stage. You can actually click on these by editing, hit edit, and you can assign them to people on your team. You can select the dates for those, when they're due, and they will actually notify you. And you can. This is just a tool to help you out. It's a tool to help you out, and with your church. It's not something we monitor. It's not something we require, but it is a free tool that we offer to you guys to utilize. You can upload files there, share with your team, things like that. And then the last thing I'm going to share with you on this is, let me go back to the fall training. If you go to the overview button, somebody's scratching really bad. If you could hit mute for me. Oh, somebody told me. There we go. Go to the overview, click on turn on email update. All you do is that, and it subscribes you to any time a new post is added to your project. It will email you and update you on that. So that's how you use Basecamp. Again, don't be intimidated. It's a tool for you, and hopefully you can take advantage of it and utilize that in a way that benefits you and your church plan. And it also helps us communicate during the training. So a lot of benefits for that. All right, guys, I want to finish with this. We got 3 minutes left. I want to finish with this. What's next? What's next? A couple of things. Number one, you are going to receive your Basecamp for your church plant next week. You will probably receive your Basecamp for the training that I just showed you. You'll probably get that today. So you can start playing in that, experimenting with that. And you'll get yours for your church plant next week. Number two, on Monday, inside that launch training Basecamp, you're going to receive a training covenant. We want you to read it, and then all you do is type in there, respond, I agree, or I disagree, or I have questions, okay? But there will be a training covenant we ask you to respond to. If you do not reply to the training covenant, we cannot put you on our website where churches can shop and find you and potentially fund you. Number three, third thing that's next is your equipping facilitator is going to email you, if he hasn't already, to set up a time for you guys to meet. And as I mentioned, some will be once a month, some will be every other week. And then number four, he will also email you and let you know about the pre-session. This is something we've added. It's something we've tried to cover in orientation before, but this orientation used to last a little over 2 hours. We've cut it down by adding this pre-session because there's something really, really important you need to know in order to get started. So that's why we're adding this pre-session. And then the last thing that, a couple of things. The fifth thing you need to know, what's next, schedule a time with your sending church pastor. Schedule a time and to begin doing these worksheets with him that he will receive next week. The sixth thing is what's next is in September, you will receive your first report. All you do is fill it out, submit it back to us. I think it's 5 questions. It's real simple. It literally will take you about 3 minutes. It's really easy, real simple. And then the last thing I want to cover with you is how does funding work? Okay, many of you have heard us talk about the change that we're making with our funding at launch. So here we're becoming strictly a training agency, not a funding agency. And so what we've done, we've had churches are really responding to this. We're becoming a brokerage firm for churches who are looking to invest in church planters. So what we're going to do at the end, throughout the semester, we're going to track your attendance. Well, first of all, we're going to put at the end, we will put your church on you and your bio on a special website. It's a private website. It'll have you, your bio, your attendance to the training. It'll have the 10 essential assignments that you did, and if you did those, it's going to have your monthly reports inside of that. It's going to have the targets that you set and the progress you're making towards your target. We will upload your budget on that, your church planning perspectives on that, and all of that will be residing on a website that's being created right now. And that way, when our church partners are looking to fund someone, they go into that, they shop the partners there or planters there, and they choose who they will fund and how much they will fund them. So that's how funding works with launch at this time. So that I just wanted to make you aware of that. So there's going to be a lot that we're going to be tracking, and all of that will determine if we can recommend you for funding or not at the end. So with all of that said, I think we've got like 2 minutes left. So any questions that you might have for me? I know I've thrown a lot at you, but any questions, you can just raise your hand on the screen if you have a question for me. All righty. Well, if there are no questions, then guys, again, congratulations. We are so excited about walking on this journey with you and watching what God's going to do in your life and in your marriage and in your church plant. Thanks for participating in the training here with us today, the preparation. This will be the only lecture session that you have. This is the most difficult one. The rest of them are highly discussion-oriented. And so, Tim Wheat, I'm going to ask you if you would mind close us out in prayer when we're done. And guys, I'm going to hang on the phone for 5 or 10 minutes. If you have questions, I'm going to hang on in case you have a question you'd like to ask me. But Tim, would you close us in prayer?
You bet, let's hope. Father, I thank you that we have a great journey ahead of us, but we have a greater God that's able to get to us everything that we need. I thank you for these guys and, God, what you've been doing to prepare them, but even more so in these days ahead, Father, the interaction, the discussion, the assignments, and all that's going to be used by you and anointed by you and just blessed by you to move them to the point of being the leaders in advancing the kingdom. So thanks again for Mac and just all the work that's gone into this. But we really just want to give glory to Jesus. And thank you for allowing us to be together in this new relationship, this family, this tribe. And we'll look forward to all that takes place in these days ahead. And thanking you for just allowing us to partner together and to just follow you in obedience and give you praise and glory for that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much. Have a great day. I'm going to be on here for about 5 or 10 more minutes. If you want to hang on, if you've got questions, feel free to do that. And Frank, do you have my cell number? Well, I tell you what, Frank, if you could just hold on, I want to talk to you about something as well. So, guys, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Tim Trier, you got a question?
Yeah, Mac, maybe I missed it, but you mentioned something, a pre-session. When is that going to be scheduled?
Yeah, Mike will be scheduling that with you sometime next week. It's something new that we just